Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope you're having a great day. Today's topic is Angel Sarkhiel, who helps us align with the perfected version of ourselves. And if you're excited like me, please leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with family and friends. Let's get started. Angel Sarkhiel, one of the angels who governs the zodiac sign of Virgo, helps us align with the perfected version of ourselves, not by striving for impossible perfection, but by embracing our flaws as essential to our growth. Virgo's energy is about refinement, humility, and inner purpose. And through Sarkhiel's guidance, we learn to appreciate ourselves more deeply, cultivate self-acceptance, and manifest our true greatness in everyday life. Self-love is something that people think they're going to pick up at some point in their lives, and usually after they find somebody who love them unconditionally, it's certainly not a priority. The priority is to find someone who loves you, make you feel whole, complete, fulfilled, a sense of belonging, all of those things for sure. But you really can never achieve those things fully to the maximum that you can without visiting that first fundamental step of learning to love yourself. Rather than focus outward, which is important, you do want to be in a relationship, you do want to find the person who will love you, but it has to start with your love for yourself. How can you really give to somebody in ways you haven't learned to give yourself? You just won't be able to. How can you receive from somebody if you haven't received it from yourself? Loving yourself is about appreciating yourself and respecting yourself. These are one of the more fundamental spiritual teachings. And if you don't have that, and more importantly, if you're not growing that, everything in your life is going to be limited. Appreciating and respecting yourself is the most important cornerstones of any life that you build. And more importantly, you have to be growing in appreciating for yourself. You have to be growing in respecting yourself and growing in love for yourself. Little babies know how to love themselves. There is not one little baby alive that ever criticized his body. My hips are too big. They're just thrilled and delighted to have a body. They love and adore everything about themselves. They love and rejoice with their toes. They express their feelings. When a baby is happy, you know it. When a baby is angry, the whole neighborhood knows it. They're never scared letting people know how they feel. They live in the moment. They're filled with courage and they're wonderful. And we were all like that. Then what happens when we start to grow up? We start listening to people that were frightened or critical or resentful or guilty. And many of us grew up with people like that. Our parents activated our belief system. They're the ones that turned on the switch. If we grew up in a family where everybody was manipulated by guilt, then you're probably going to do the same thing. You're probably a person who's walking around saying many, many times, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, all the time. And you can never ask for anything outright because you always want to manipulate someone. And what happens is that at one point, our parents' voice becomes our own voice in our head. Meaning, we're saying it to ourselves without much thought. Add on that painful situations, and then their response is not respecting themselves, not loving themselves, not appreciating themselves, and then they're stuck in their pain. But spiritually, we know that there are different forces in our world, not just the one that we interact with on the physical level. And what the sages have said is that one of the most powerful places that we are challenged in life is the diminishment of ourselves in our own eyes. That's really the focus of all negative energy in this world and all negative interactions that we have. The core and purpose of all that is that I lose respect, appreciation, love for myself. And that if it was possible to live with the true essence, true sense of who we are, who our soul is, the power, the beauty, that strength, many of us would be living with different lives. There's a phrase that our soul, our essence, it says, it's a part of God. It's an aspect of the force that created this universe. Call it the creator, call it God. And when you realize that we aren't these random beings trying to make our lives and make ourselves into something, but that innately inborn, before we even knew ourselves, we were and we are this unbelievable power, unbelievable force. And it's important that we know who you are in your essence, which is a powerful force beyond anything you can even understand. That's who you are, and that's who I am. So first you have to begin with that consciousness. If you don't have that consciousness, if you're not growing that consciousness, you'll be missing out on so much of what you can and are meant to do, can and are meant to accomplish, can and meant to experience. The beauty of this understanding is that this is actually who I am. Right now, every single one of you is a beautiful, powerful force. And most of us aren't even close to uncovering that yet. A way to tap into this until you are able to fully know it is to look back at times in your life, whether in your childhood or even now, where you really felt like you were in your power. Whether you were doing something, delivering something, offering something, and you felt powerful. Not from a place of ego, but just really whole and complete. It's that space, and we are meant to be in that space all the time. That's not something that's supposed to comes and goes, or that is a one-off or a miracle. It's supposed to be something that we actually are in that state all the time. Think about this idea. Meditate with Angel Sarkhiel on this idea, because unless you begin to know this to be true, that you are an awesome being, that you had this unbelievable light, soul, essence, whatever you want to call it. This is so far beyond any concept that you have, unless you really have that consciousness and own that and think about it often, you're not going to experience it. You can journal, work with crystals, meditate, and meeting different coaches or healers, but it will feel as nothing is moving. How much are you really in that space of I am a powerful force? I am meant and destined for greatness. And I just need to tap into awaken that part of me that has been dormant. Especially in the realm of spirituality. A lot of people search outside and all these actions, all this money spent, all this time and energy, and they think they are doing, but nothing is working. But that doesn't even make sense if you look at the way the world's set up. All spiritual wisdom, all important teachers, they're never meant to give you something you do not have. If you go into a healer, to a spiritual teacher, to get something that you are lacking, you're never going to get it. Never. You can go to the best teachers in the world, to the most spiritual people in the world, and take and take and take. But if your thought, your consciousness is, I need them to give me something I don't have, it's never going to work. It can help a little bit, but the truth of who you are will never become manifest for you. And that's why anything else is not going to mean very much unless you really begin with this knowledge of yourself. Whatever awareness we have of the power, the greatness, the awesome energy that I am, that you are, it is a tiny fraction of actually who I really am. This is not at all positive psychology. This is truth. And I know that most of us don't feel our soul. We feel our mistakes, regrets. We feel more years of wasting time, of abusive home or a bad job. Most people are in a state of lack. And when you're in a state of lack, it's very hard to actually believe that you are super powerful. There's a certain level of blindness that we have to who we really are. Michael Berg shared that he strongly believed that it simply begins with meditating upon this, really taking the time, no matter what our consciousness mind wants to tell us, and ask Angel Sarkhiel's help and keep repeating over and over again how powerful you are. And the phrase he uses is Chelek Elokai Mima'al, which is that I am a piece of the endless light of the Creator. That is the force that I have within me sitting here, the force that created the world. That is actually who I am. The second part is that we are a paradox, each one of us, and it's important to understand that paradox. As we are sitting here, we all have two choices, and we're actually a mixture of two things, light and darkness. It is very likely, very possible that today we will do something we shouldn't do. It's possible, likely, tomorrow you might hurt somebody. So one of the mistakes that we make is to think that we meant to be perfect, and until we're perfect, we can be liked, we can be awesome. If we also yelled at somebody, if we just did something negative, then I can't possibly also be this thing that I mentioned before. No, actually you can, and you are. And that understanding, that duality exists within every single one of us. And to think that unless I am in a perfect state, or to wait until you are perfect, which is never going to happen, that's when I can actually believe these amazing things about myself. That's a big mistake. That's another trick. There's a joke on a guy who's not so smart, and he has a horse. And he's trying to save money on the food, and he tells his friend the story. He says, I almost succeed in the perfect calibration of not spending too much food. And he said, first I cut down his meal to half, and then the next day to a quarter, and the next day to an eighth, and then I almost got him to be able to live on no food. And then of course he died. And the idea is that you are never meant to be in a state of perfection. We are meant to be in a dual state, diminishing hopefully the negative actions that we do, the negative thoughts that we have, but the acceptance of the duality, where the ego tries to tell us, no. Unless you're perfect, look what you just did yesterday. This thing that you're hearing on YouTube about your soul, your essence, being this powerful reality, you're so far from that. Don't even try. Also, it's important to know we consider ourselves to be the last thing we just did. So if I did something really great or amazing, then I'm feeling, I'm a good person, I shared. Tomorrow, if I do something that I'm really embarrassed or ashamed of, then I'm that person, the worst person ever. And then we stay stuck in that. And if you think of yourself in that space of negativity, then are you really being able to tap into the greatness essence of who you are? No, because you're only dark. And then if you gave to charity or you volunteered, then you're only good, and then you're going to fall, because we're meant to have those different experiences, the highs, the lows, and that's actually who we are in our essence. And this connects to how we judge other people. Virgos tend to judge more, both themselves and others, because of their deep desire for improvement, order, and excellence. This comes from their natural attention to detail and their drive to fix, refine, and make things better. And we all have a little bit of Virgo in us. But if you really understand that each one of us is a paradox made up of dark and light, good and bad, then you're much more forgiving towards other people, because you also understand that if I'm going to look at you and try to assess, is there any negativity there? And because of that negativity, I say, not a good person. I can judge them. That's so stupid, because that's going to be the reality for every single person. Now, of course, for ourselves and for people we come in contact, we hope that they will be 51% light, 49% darkness. But the fact that we are all a paradox, and every person you're going to meet is going to be a paradox. But what we often say, I just saw 2% of their negativity there, I write them off. They are a negative person. That's a ridiculous way to view other people, and it's a ridiculous way to view ourselves. But I do think it's an important acceptance that we take in, that I am a paradox, but neither when I am feeling who I truly am, because I just did something great, that doesn't mean I'm perfect now. I'm 100% light. I still have that other part in me. And more importantly, when I've done something that I'm not proud of, when I've done something I shouldn't have done, that does not in any way diminish who I am. If you learn to love your flaws, love your process, and if you accept the negativity that we all have, then you have an opportunity to transform that. If you so choose to do it, it's a daily decision. Also, Michael Berg shared that the way you want to view yourself, two things. Anything negative that I do never diminishes my greatness, never diminishes the power that I have. All it can ever do is put a layer, a shield, what the Kabbalists call a klipa, or a shell around it, covers. If you have a candle or a lamp, and then you put a sheet over it, and then the second one, and then a third one, you can actually put enough so that it is completely dark and it doesn't shine. The candle itself or the lamp itself is still shining, you just can't see it at all. And when you view yourself in that way, that there is nothing that I could ever do from the worst thing in the world that would ever extinguish my power, what I am, the light of my soul, all that I can possibly do. And unfortunately we do is cover that light, that greatness. And then what happens is you see darkness, you feel disconnected because it's not shining through, but it has not changed the reality. It's like people who have gone to prison for horrible crimes and then they get out 20 years later and maybe they become a lawyer and they're doing great things for the world. What happens is that they were able to reveal what was already there. When we talk about ourselves and our essence, there is a spiritual teaching. We talk about the duality each one of us has, positive and negative. But the reality is that who we are at essence is only light. That negative part of us that makes us do negative things, makes us make the wrong choices, that's actually ego. Kabbalists refer to it as desire to receive for oneself alone. It's something referred to as the negative inclination. That actually is not me. It's a part of my makeup that was put there for me to grow from. But it actually is not who I am. So in reality, I am only light. You are only light. Each one of you is only a powerful goodness. Of course, there are extreme examples like a serial killer, but those are not the true essence of humanity. It's possible for a person to be so depraved and negative and falling to their desire to receive for oneself alone that they wind up falling so much to such a place that it's impossible to go back. That's possible, but that's not 99.9% of the people in the world. Knowing this, especially on your dark days, especially on the days, in the moments that you've done something, don't ever forget that your soul, your essence is powerful, beautiful, only light. And the only thing you will ever do is cover that. Never diminish that.
If you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Book now with me one-to-one session in angel coaching and communication coaching. To learn more, email or DM me. Enjoy the video.
There is so much power in that knowledge. When you recognize your greatness, potential, it's actually the farthest thing from the ego. Although it could sound like ego, because it's something from your soul straight up, there's no room for noise. One of the great Kabbalists said that if you're not able, after having done the worst thing in the world in your eyes, in the next second to feel that you are the most elevated, powerful being, you haven't even began your spiritual studies. Because either way, you're taking yourself too seriously. As a matter of fact, one of the Kabbalists teaches that the only reason that we ever make mistakes is not so much for the mistake, but for the upset and disappointment in ourselves that we might experience after that. This is where the ego spends so much of its energy. Just don't think too highly of yourself. Don't realize what you are. Monica Berg shared her practice after she did something that she wished had not happened or wanted it differently. She would just say, well, so that happened. And this is her way to just move past it. Take it seriously, change, but then move past it quickly and not stay stuck in that sadness. The ultimate state, great, you've just done the worst, terrible thing. The next second, say, you know what? I am still beautiful, powerful being that is only light. This action, if it wasn't the right thing, maybe covered a little bit, but I will never forget who I am. And from that space, you can choose your next thing to do. But you have to come from that space. If not, how are you actually going to connect the next thing for them to right? How are you going to make the difference from right and wrong? It's a little trick to use all the time. One more layer to this, which is an important understanding. We are this powerful soul essence, way beyond anything we can even appreciate about ourselves. But we have to manifest that. In spiritual terms is what we call, there is seed and there is manifestation. So obviously you have a seed of an apple tree and you're going to leave it on the table. It's true that the essence of that seed is a beautiful fruit bearing tree, but if it stays on the table, it remains great and beautiful, powerful, potential, never manifest. If you understand you are a powerful being, you're an awesome, awesome seed, but it's unmanifested. The purpose of life, that through our actions, through our thoughts, through our words, we actually manifest and reveal our greatness. So if you have two people, both with tremendous potential, one of them spends their lives sharing with other people, helping other people, doing important things, whatever that is for each individual, they have manifested and revealed really who they are. Whereas the other person who had the same, if not greater potential, because he did not actively, consciously reveal that potential, it remains as the seed on the table, dormant. The point is, it's great to know that I am great, but I also need to know that all that greatness is in a potential state, and that my responsibility is not to let my greatness remain as the seed on the table, but rather manifest moment after moment every positive thought, every positive word, every positive action that I do. It's not just as sometimes we think, oh, if I just did a kind action for you, what does that mean? It means that I just showed you what I already am. No. When I have done that action, I've actually become more of that person, of that essence. I revealed more of that essence, and that actually, what life is about, is me revealing all of that great light and all that greatness in the world. And then it actually becomes real and actualized and manifested. If I don't, while it's still true that I have, and on the seed level, this unbelievable power and wisdom and goodness, if it doesn't manifest, it actually never becomes real. The reality is, we are all lazy to some extent. Our physicality, the immediate usual need is comfort. What I'm going to eat, drink today, how much sleep did I have, that is the part of life. Of course, it's necessary part, but if we're constantly feeding that aspect of us, the physical aspects, our needs, and we don't make sure that we are equally, but perhaps much more giving to the spiritual part of ourselves, in manifesting our greatness, asking, how can I reveal this? That would be through sharing. That would be through giving, through being kind, considerate, empathetic. It's a daily choice. If we understood who we are, certainly, if we understood what we could be, it's not an option to do anything else. By doing, you actually reveal more of yourself that's able to do more, and then you're able to see more opportunities that come up each day. There's a story, there was a great Kabbalist who had thousands of students, and wrote many books that people drew inspiration from and drew light from. And every time he would publish a book, there would be a little get together, a gathering. They would have a little meal, and he would always share some words of wisdom, inspiration. This one time, he was telling them, when I was a young kid, I was in school, I was goofing off, I wasn't really paying attention. And one night, I'm in my room and I hear my mother literally in tears to my father. What are we going to do with our son? He doesn't enjoy school. He doesn't study in school. All the teachers have given up on him. What are we going to do with him? And he said, my mother was in real pain. And he said, from that moment, I decided that even if I don't care about school, I don't care about studying, for my parents and certainly for my mother's, he started taking school seriously. He began studying. He continued the rest of his life studying, became the very great sage, wise man, thousands of students, hundreds of books printed, published. And he said, but imagine what would have happened had I not heard my mother that night, and I would have continued living my life uneducated. By nature, I'm a good person, he said, so I would have been a nice guy, relatively spiritual. I would live my life helping people in some ways. And then, when I died, when my soul left this world, he would be asked, where are all those thousands of students? Where are all those books that you were meant to write? And I would look at this scenario like, what are you talking about? I worked hard and I was a nice guy, but there's no way that I had the ability to teach one person, let alone thousands, and I was barely able to read a book. You're asking me where are the hundreds of books that I was meant to write? And that's the point. The point is that the story illustrates the fact that unless we really push ourselves to reveal the greatness that is already within us, we will leave this world with so much that we were meant to do. And as a matter of fact, the Kabbalists say what hell really is when our soul leaves this world and realizes what it was and therefore what it could have done. This is the reality. Every one of you is meant to do so much more, help X times the amount of people that you're influencing or helping in any way. So many times I get the question from people, what am I meant to do? What is my purpose? And they look at it also in terms of just physical. What's the thing that's going to make me the most successful? Or how I'll get the best job? And then they think they live the life they're meant to. You actually just need to realize that you are great. And if you just leave the seed on the table your whole life and you don't plant it, there's not going to be any perfect title, scenario, dream job, or dream person that's going to come to you and now make you feel realized in your potential. It doesn't work like that. So first, with the help of Angel Sarkhiel, really get to accept your greatness and really take the time to meditate upon that reality. It all has to start there, and that we all have flaws and we're all in the middle of a process, and none of those flaws diminishes your greatness, and it doesn't stop you. It's not a roadblock. It doesn't actually affect this process at all. The second part is start manifesting your greatness. Don't wait for that big thing. Small ways every day, immediate action today. Find one action and then another action, because our thoughts, our words, our actions are not simply a revelation of what we already are, but they are actually a manifestation of what was in the greatness and the seed manifested. So every time that I act in a way that is aligned with my essence, I help you, I inspire somebody, I am now greater because of that. And every action that I do that assists somebody else, that brings and manifests important things in this world, I am now revealed more that greatness and now capable of doing even more. It molds you. It's the making of each of us. There's a phrase that the sages often use, that each one of us is writing our own story. That we are actually, through every thought that we have, and through every word that we say, and for every action that we take, are writing the book of our life. And you have to start doing that, and continue doing that, and doing it more. The Kabbalists also teach us that what I came to this world to do cannot and will not be accomplished by anybody else. What each one of us is meant to do is unique to each one of us, and it's such a trick of the ego to look at somebody else and say, that person grew up in a privileged home, or that person had a better opportunity. None of that really matters. And more importantly, if any of us thought that we had the potential to be, for example, Bill Gates, we would be pushing ourselves. But you look at yourself and say, this is my ceiling. This is as far as I can go. We would put a cap on it because we don't really believe. You have no idea how way beyond whatever your greatest concept of yourself you actually are. And you have to know that, and you have to start manifesting all the time. Another thought, another positive word, another positive action. Reveal yourself more and more and more. And that becomes a soft generator of more growth, of more revelation, of more doing, of more influence. So with that perfection thing, that's really putting a lid on how expensive you can be. You don't want to color outside the lines. You don't want to go too far that way. You want to look like everything is under control. There is no growth. There is no transformation. There is no elevation. There is no greatness happening in that state. As Monica Berg shares, perfection is impossible. It's a word that should be banned. And from that place, have a very messy life. Be messy about it. Try everything. Do everything. Offer yourself in ways that are uncomfortable a little bit. Stretch beyond what you think is even possible. And that is exactly how you reveal your greatness. It's important to look at the world. There are people today who, because maybe we haven't pushed ourselves enough, they're in pain today. I actually could have helped them. What does this mean? That means that if I would really be living with the understanding, I can do something about that. I might not be able to reach 1 million people and remove their pain, but I can reach one person today, remove their pain, help them in some way, give them some love in some way. There are people in pain today because you and I, because some of us can do so much more. The world today is in some state orphans. They are orphans not necessarily having not had a father or a mother, but because of us, we can do so much. Certainly way beyond anything we can, but think there are people in pain because of us. If every human being felt that, what they could do, the world would change in a second. But we don't appreciate the orphans who's leaving behind. So it's important to think about, your soul is great. You can do so much. Start doing it. And also remember, you're leaving some orphans behind today. And because of that, hopefully, push yourself to do so much more, to reveal of yourself so much more, so that when you look at your life, you realize, oh, wow, that person and this person, and they brought love to that person. They brought kindness to that person. I brought goodness to that person. What do you want your book of life to look like? What do you want it to read like? If we think about all the people that have inspired us, what if they didn't decide to care enough, to make the effort, or to believe enough that they had something to offer? How dark our world would be. Where would we draw inspiration, light, and joy from? We're all responsible for some of the darkness that exists today, because if we were pushing ourselves more, if we appreciate ourselves more, if we loved ourselves more, we would be doing more. And at least certain levels and certain people would now not be in pain, would now have some love, would have some goodness, that you and I would have given them. If we see our children or loved ones in pain, we'll go to the ends of the earth to remove that pain. And we believe in reincarnation. So what that means is that there are people in the world today who I was once their mother, their daughter, their sister in previous incarnations. So we should care for everybody with such passion, knowing that you can do it and you can do so much more. On a macro level, if enough people really accepted their own greatness and the responsibility that comes with that, our world would be a completely different place. Now that we understand how Angel Sarkhiel can help us, the angel connected to Virgo energy and the refined version of ourselves, let's move from learning to experiencing. This angel doesn't just live in theory. Sarkhiel invites us into deep alignment with who we truly are. Not perfect, but whole. Not flawless, but radiant. Through this short visualization, we'll allow ourselves to meet that version of ourselves, the part that already exists beneath the noise. Let's take a few minutes to connect inward, to feel, not just think. And let the light of Sarkhiel guide us back to our own light. Please sit comfortably, close your eyes, take a slow, deep breath in, and exhale gently. Let your shoulders relax. Let your thoughts soften. Let your heart open. Now invite the presence of Angel Sarkhiel, the guiding angel of Virgo, to join you in this sacred space. Feel a soft, steady light surrounding you. It's gentle, grounded, yet full of power. This is the light of refinement, of self-respect, of inner knowing. Say silently or out loud, Angel Sarkhiel, help me connect to the perfected version of myself. Not through perfection, but through love, through acceptance, through truth. Now visualize a mirror in front of you. A mirror that reflects not your appearance, but your soul. Look into it. See beyond your flaws, beyond mistakes, beyond self-doubt. What you see is light. What you see is greatness. What you see is you, as you were always meant to be, strong, compassionate, radiant. Now think of a time in your life, big or small, where you felt in your power, where you gave, where you loved, where you showed up. Let that memory rise. Let that feeling fill your chest. And whisper to yourself, that power is still within me. I am still that light. That light has never left me. It has only been covered. Feel Angel Sarkhiel's energy beside you. Not judging, not pushing, just gently lifting the layers of your soul, the layers of shame, of judgment, of trying to be perfect. They fall like old clothes, and what remains is pure, beautiful, alive. Say silently, I am a piece of divine light. I am meant to shine, and I begin again now. Take one more deep breath. Let this truth sink into every cell of your being. And when you're ready, slowly open your eyes. carrying this presence, this connection, and this power into the rest of your day, into the rest of your life. For those of you who want to go deeper, a one-to-one Mastering Your Life with Angel program gives you something you can't get anywhere else. 5 private sessions to uncover your soul's unique purpose, connect directly with your personal guardian angel and your angel's birth chart team, and reveal the hidden blocks holding you back. You'll gain insights, guidance, and practical tools designed especially for you and only you, helping you manifest your highest potential in ways no book, video, or class alone can provide. You can find the link to learn more and apply for the program below this video. Until next time, stay open, stay present, and let the light guide you. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you found it helpful, please leave a like, subscribe, and share. Hope to see you in the next video. Bye.